Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to SimPlay Motorsport. My name is Dan Davis, and I'll be bringing you all the action once again live here at SimPlay Motorsport, and bringing you all the action that is to come here this evening at this very, very famous circuit of. Sorry, just making sure I got all of my settings correct because I can't, for some reason, hear anything. Usual behavior when streaming on here. But yeah, like I said, welcome. We are live and we are raring to go for the, I believe it's the fourth round of the championship, or the fourth week of the season. And we are here for the Whodarron Cup, the M2 championship. And what an event we have ahead of us. Like I said, at the famous circuit of Imola, a circuit that is obviously taken a big reputation about being fast and pushing your cars to the absolute limit. And here is another opportunity for drivers to score some big points. We've got an evening race. As you can see, it's not very dark at the minute, but we are at roughly 4 o'clock. I believe this session is set. Sorry, 3 p.m. So by the time we get into the races, it will actually start to darken out later on in the session. But we are live. We are ready to go. And we have got some particularly fast drivers out there this evening. Guys, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We got Ken's in the chat saying good luck all. And actually, now he's in the chat, that actually gives me I forgot to do something in the week. I am now doing it right this second. And yeah. So guys, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to be notified, as we got a night's worth of action ahead of you here tonight at the famous circuit of Imola. As Ken's, like I said in the chat, just reminding me that if you want to be a Patreon and you're part of the Discord, then feel free to go and have a look at the Patreon. I'm quickly just adding him to the thanks page. Like I said, I forgot to do that earlier in the week. Been quite a busy week. But like I said, he is one of our Patreons who helps support the channel. And that's what allows us to bring you these amazing streams and amazing championships as well. So yeah, if you want to be a part of that, have a look at our Discord. So as I said, here at Imola, a circuit that is well known. Pinging left, right and centre. And it's updated for me. Lovely. I don't even need to do anything. Yeah, so a circuit that we all tend to love and enjoy. I think it's a kind of a love-hate relationship is Imola. While we got a little bit of time, we'll have a quick run through of the championship standings. But we do so, here is how tonight will work. Obviously, the way they work for the M2s, we are based on a British Touring Car Championship theme. Basically, we have 3 races ahead of us this evening. All the cars have got no ballast on board other than your championship leaders. They are carrying ballast, and they are going to be spread out between the top 8 in the championship. So in this case, Kieran O'Reilly leads the way, and he will carry the 40 kilos on board. 35 kilos goes away of Mezin. Then it's going to be 30 kilos for Hooper. Airish will carry 25 kilos, 20 kilos for Silth, 15 for Skunky, 10 for Lojack, and 5 for McGowan. So those are the championship ballast weights. Obviously that's they are success ballast, so that will obviously be put on the cars so that they basically get to slow down. Millington in the chat, got a missing tonight's race, a 19-hour drive to Paris and back. Yeah, just to go get a bike. I don't know if it was worth it or not. Obviously I know you wanted to get your bike back, Millington, but yeah, I wouldn't have done that. That's just mad, a little bit crazy. But yeah, that's how tonight's format works. We got 3 races. They're only 20 minutes, no pit stops required, and that is that. So regarding the championship standings, it looks like this. Where is our championship leader? There he is, and our defending champion. Kieran O'Reilly leads the way ahead of Mezin, ahead of Hooper, Airish, Silth, Skunky, Lojack, McGowan is your top 8, and they are the drivers that are carrying the ballast. The Munster is in 9th with Schwarber in that 10th place position. Kowalski in 11th. 12th is Porschnet In 13th is Harris. 14th is Hibbs. 15th is Ramsel, with Zdanov in 16th. Post in 17th with Varga in 18th. Matt Wright in that 19th place position with 20th going to Will Wilbrink. Flop in 21st with Nugamanov in 22nd. Cox in 23rd. Marsden in 24th with Crespo in 25th. Maiger in that 26th position with Jacket in 27th. Aberdeen 28th with Gillies in that 29th position. Johnson in 30th, Shrolski in 31st with Anderson in 32nd, Parra in 33rd, Lee in 34th, Crack 35th, Smith in 36th, Hoochhausen in 37th, Millington in 38th, and yet to score a few other drivers as well. But we are about to get things underway. That's the overall standings. Regarding the gold, it goes O'Reilly, Mezin, Hoopert, Erish, Smith, Skunky, Lojek, McGowan, DeMonster, Schwarbert, Kowarski, Porschnet, Harris, Hibbs, Ramsel, Post, Wright, Flop, Hoochhausen, and Langley. Those are your gold drivers championships. Regarding the silvers, is Zdanov leading the way with Varga in second, Wilbrink third, Nugamanov fifth, Cox fifth. Sixth is Crespo, seventh is Maiger, eighth is Jacket, ninth is Aberdeen, Gillies in 10th, Shaworski in 11th, Lee 12th, Millington 13th, Butcher 14th, Stardog 15th, and Leach in that final position. And the bronze goes the way of Marsden, Johnson, Anderson, Parro, Crack, Smith, Waste, and here we go. A new name to the league, and a name that I'm really going to struggle with. But here we go. God, I don't even know where to start with these names. Orowski? No, I'm just doing everything with ski at the end. I'm just gonna end up going the number 81. Whoever you are, I ain't gonna attempt that. The number 81 driver. He's a new driver here this evening with us, and nice to have him join us in the league. And we'll see how he gets on this evening. But like I said, it's an interesting circuit that we come to here at Imola. A very, very fast circuit at that. And with that, our good friend Harris, Michael Harris from FBR, is going to take us for a lap around this fantastic circuit. And this should give me the opportunity to now remember the name of the cars. Remember the name of the corners. So Harris makes sure he gets a good exit out of the final corner and then heads down the main straight as he goes through one, which is that corner there. Doesn't really class as turn one, but then we head down towards the main turn one itself, the move that Max Verstappen pulled this year around the outside of Tamburello, going into two, then into three. The curbs are very lethal here, especially those sausage curbs, and then into four. Make sure you get a good exit as you head then down to Villeneuve. The next sequence of corners 5 and 6, braking early, get the front end to turn in. As you can see there, Harris goes a little bit deep into the first part of Villeneuve, and make sure he gets a good exit as he heads up to then Tosa, turn 7. Take a wide entry and make sure you hit the apex late in the corner to get the best exit as you then head up towards 8 and 9. Piratella is the next corner that's coming up. Over the crest and over the kink on the right hand side, brake at the 50-meter board, try and get the front end turned in into Piratella. Such a tricky corner to get right all the time, but as you then come through, you go heading downhill towards the famous Acqua Minerale. Get it front end turned in, get it easy, turned out UI, but then you want to slow the car down, get it turned in, and then up this slight hill as you then head up towards Alta, the tight chicane, where you can gain so much time or also lose time. As he heads up towards the chicane now, and through the chicane he goes, taking as much curb as he dares, and then get a good exit out of Alta, and then heading down towards 16, 17, and 18, which is the final sequence of corners of Rivazza. Once you then get a good run out of Alta, you then head down to Rivazza, braking downhill, easy to go a little bit too deep, get the front turned in, make sure you do the first part of Rivazza very well, get a good exit out the final corner, and if you're in the slipstream, this could be a great opportunity to overtake, and then down the main straight you go, and that is a lap of the famous circuit that is Imola. And across the line, does Harris improve his lap time? He does, and goes up to P7 with that one. Thank you very much, Harris, for that a beautiful lap around this circuit. So a couple of drivers just to keep an eye on this evening. McGowan seems to be on a little bit of a tear recently. As McGowan seems to be in a little bit of a groove with these M2s, struggling to keep it with the MSA boys, but he just needs a little bit of luck his side, and I think tonight could be his best opportunity really. A circuit like Imola tends to go to drivers who are quite well suited to this track. You have to be in a flow, and obviously we've been doing a lot of GT3 testing in the week, and a man who has been looking quickest so far, which is Rosowski, has looked very, very good, and he's summed it up brilliantly. The circuit here is very fun and enjoyable, but it's very difficult to actually nail a lap here. Very easy to make a mistake at any point in the sector. Even if you master one sector, another sector can throw you off completely. But keep an eye on McGowan tonight. He's looking good and he's looking strong in this whole championship anyway. Hooper, another one always to keep an eye on as well. Zdanov is a man to keep an eye on in the silver category, looking very, very fast at the minute, up with the gold drivers as well, so another one to keep an eye on as well. And Marsden there looking particularly quick in the bronze class as well. If you don't quite understand what I'm saying regarding gold and silver and bronze, basically the teams, the drivers have been separated into categories that best suit their abilities regarding the grid. So the white numbers are the gold drivers, the top level drivers in the league, or especially in the M2s. We then got the grey numbers, which are silver, and they are kind of the mid-pack drivers, and then we got the red, which are the bronze drivers, and like I said, they're just the tail end of the grid. So they're all categorized, and they kind of get an idea of who they're racing against then in the races, and they can see and adapt themselves towards how they react as well. Obviously drop scores have been taken into place as well, so now the drop scores are in place. Drivers will now look to try and capitalize as much as they can on each round. If they lose out in the championship due to a missed race or something like that, then obviously the drop scores will actually end up helping them later on. They either gain or lose points depending on that as well. One thing I forgot to mention is the teams championship as well. So obviously you can see a lot of the drivers running in teams. You've got MSA, the casuals, Kozak Racing, Apex Motorsport. There's loads of teams in here. So and this is the teams championship standings as it stands. MSA lead the way with Schwarster's Motorsport in P2, with the casuals in P3. Greasy Bandit sat in P4, with Autobahn in P5, Autobahn United P5. P6 is Apex Motorsport. The only Siders is P7. Kozak Racing is P8, with P9 going the way of Team FBGB. SimPlay Racing sat P10, with GBU is sat in the 11th place position. Quantum Motorsport in 12th, with Minikins Racing in 13th, Soldor Racing in 14th, and Billy No Mates in 15th, and Team SPR at the back. Berserker, nice to see you in the chat, and good evening to everyone who is watching the stream. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell to be notified so you don't miss anything here at SimPlay Motorsport. And like I said, have a look at our fantastic sponsors in the description below as well, which is Design Manchester and Audio Sport as well. Design Manchester is producers of vinyl graphics, laser engraved gifts, printed clothing, and much more, including SimPlay merchandise. And you got Audio Sport, manufacturers of VW Transporter, T4 audio solutions, and styling products. Head over to www.audiosport.co.uk. Right, we are going towards the end of this session, and I'm going to do a quick poll while we wait for the end of the session. Do we like just an interest to see what people think of this fantastic circuit that is Imola. Do we like this circuit? Yes or no? To be fair, I'm a massive fan of this circuit. I do like it very, very much. I think it's probably the better one of all the Italian circuits that we go to. Yes, I'm including Monza in that as well. But for me, Imola has just such heritage, such history. I know it's not as much as history as Monza, but for me, this track really and if you nail the lap around here, you feel so rewarded, you feel so good that you've absolutely nailed the lap. And I guarantee you now, a lot of the pros have really been wringing the neck of their GT3s, and we're nearly into the 39s. Rizalski done a 1 minute 40.0 in testing, so that's how much satisfaction we're getting from racing at this fantastic circuit, as we are now counting down to the end of this session, as we've got the last few guys now coming towards the end of their runs. And Zdanov looking very, very good in his 83 BMW. As he comes to the end of the session, and into qualifying we go. So the first qualifying session here, really good flow to it when you get it right. That's right, Tips, I totally agree. Into a qualifying session we go. So the first qualifying session is only a 10-minute session, while then the next session, a couple of sessions, sorry. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, excuse me. After that, the next couple of sessions will be only 7 minutes. So again, it is vital that the guys nail that lap, get it together, and yeah, really deliver when is needed. Hibbs, though, is going to be the first man to head out on track. And majority of you do like the circuit. 4 votes and 3 going the way of liking the circuit. We'll make that 5 with mine. Yeah, like I said, Tip, once you get the flow around here, it is very rewarding, very, very satisfying. And like I said, I personally think it's the best Italian circuit. We've just been to Misano. We're not going to Monza. But for me, it's the better of the Italian circuits, and I would easily drive here. If I saw the 3 on the calendar, it would go Imola, Misano, then Monza. I feel like I like the challenge, I like the corners, I like the way it all flows. And like I said, when you're satisfied of nailing it, it really does give you that satisfaction. So, a reminder of, well, as well, of what's coming up this week. Tomorrow night we have the Pro-Ams joining us on the grid as well. They'll be looking to try and capitalize as best they possibly can. So yeah, like I said, tomorrow night is the Pro-Ams. What can they do on Bonfire Night? We shall see. And then obviously on the Thursday night as well, will be the pros, bringing you all the action of this week at Imola. And like I said, a circuit that really does challenge the drivers. As we are on board with Hibbs, who is going to be starting his lap here. He's got a car slightly ahead of him as he heads down towards turn number 1. Like I said, he needs to really nail the first couple of corners here, and that really sets you up for the rest of the lap. A lot of drivers we've got to keep an eye on, the likes of Skunky, McGowan, O'Reilly, Hoopert, Silth. No Mezin tonight, so we won't be able to see what Mezin could have done at this circuit. Hoochhausen is another one to keep an eye on. Very, very fast 1 lap pace, but we'll see how he gets on. He needs to get a good qualifying session underneath his belt. But Hibbs now coming into the last 2/3 of the lap. Question is, what can he produce? Can he set the benchmark? Can drivers out qualify him? It is going to be, I think it's going to be a tight session. It's going to be very, very fast as well. So we'll see how they all get on, but through the tricky downhill, uphill chicane. And now into outer and making sure he nails the chicane. Try not to take too much curb because he will invalidate his lap time. We currently don't know if he's valid or not. And he might get the slightest toe from the car in front. Ever so slight toe, but I doubt it's really going to make much of a difference. I believe it's Harris that is actually ahead of him, as he now comes into the final couple of corners of Rivazza. And what is this going to be for Hibbs? The 31 is going to set the pace here, as he's got Harris just ahead of him as he heads towards the chicane. Sorry, the start-finish line right now. And here he comes. What is Hibbs going to set? It is a 57.0. Here comes Skunky and McGowan closely followed behind. Skunky 9/10 off the pace. McGowan not quite there, and already 7/10 of a second ahead is O'Reilly. Well, Flop drops into that third place position. Then Post goes fourth. Now Ramsel P3 with Schwarber also P2. The lap times coming in thick and fast. Huchhausen now looking to come to the line. A few more cars coming across as well. Nugamanov goes into P7, and I believe that was Smith crossing the line. No lap time for him nor for Huchhausen. So a lot of drivers not able to get a lap time on the board currently. We'll go on board with Silt, who's now coming into the exit of Rivazza. There's also the 441. That is Hooper. No lap time from him. De Monster also into the final sector. Where has Silth put himself? We'll have a look once he crosses the line. He has not crossed the line yet, and no lap time for him at this current moment in time. But De Monster coming across the line now, only 8 for him as well. So some of the guys who are particularly quick struggling at this moment in time. Here comes Anderson now. What can he do? He's only 11th with that one. Still a good lap time to get himself underway. Lee now coming to the line also. The 666, that is Maiga. He goes into P11. Here comes Lee. And no improvement for him at the minute. Zdanov, meanwhile, still no lap time on the board for him. Looking to try and get one on the board to secure some points. Oh, there we see the new driver of the 81 just going a little bit wide there. Silf, for a moment, had to look like he had to take evasive action. Here comes Harris. Still not got a lap time on the board. The last one to leave the pit lane. So we'll see what the FBR driver can do to the line now. What can Harris produce? Only 10th place for that one. And Hibbs improves to go to P3 on that attempt. Here comes the casuals with O'Reilly closely behind. And he improves his lap time. He does a 55.8. And once again, the casuals not able to put a lap time on the board. So McGowan and Skunky struggling at this moment in time as we wait for more cars to come to the sector times. Ramsel's gone through. He's still P4 at the minute, and Schwarber does not improve. Kowalski is P5. I think Nugamanov did improve. He goes to P6 on that one. Where is Silth? He has crossed the line just as I went to go on to him, I think. No, he has not. There he is. He is in Rivazza. And still the running order stays relatively the same. The Monster goes up into P10. Here comes Silth. What can he produce? The MSA driver, can he get up with his teammate? That's the question. Yes, he can. And still O'Reilly 0.8 of a second ahead of everyone else is a decent margin. Aberdeen 15th now. We got Maiga now coming out of the final corner of Rivazza. What can he produce? A good lap time would be great for him. We got Marsden just behind him as well. But here comes Maiga, currently sat 17th at the minute. He puts himself up into 12th place. So lap times are being found. Time is being gained. Marsden, meanwhile, no lap time still as we wait for more cars to come to the line. McGowan still not got a lap time on the board currently. And he needs to do so as we got Hibbs in pit lane. Schwarber currently on a lap. De Monster looks like he's had a moment somewhere, so he's slow. I think Kowalski, Shrolski has crossed the line and finished in 18th place position. McGowan, no, with a little toe from his teammate Skunky. Where is Skunky currently at the minute? He's 14th. Can he improve on that? That would be a massive help right now towards the line. Only 11, and McGowan only 8 for that one as well. So lap times are tight here. as we're still waiting to see what Hooper can do. He's not managed to put a lap time together. He is in the final sector. We'll see what he can do. But Hooper not able to put some decent lap times. Schwarber, meanwhile, looking good and competitive. He now goes into P3, and he's got Ramsel right behind him, who's in tow. And it's probably actually hurting him rather than helping him. Zdanov now comes out of the final sector. What can he produce here? He's currently 5th at the minute. And can he improve on that lap time? No, he cannot. He stays where he is currently. Varga is done. These guys will not get back out. I don't think Hibbs will. No, he won't. So that is it for these guys. We've got a couple of guys now coming to the end of their laps. Hooper, still no lap time on the board for him. Lee, has he managed to put a lap time? No. Hoochhausen, also no lap time for him at the minute. The 81 comes to the line. He finally gets a lap time of 20th position. So lap times are key. At least get one on the board, so at least you're not starting last. Marsden, though, exiting the final few corners. He's got the 666 and Maiga just ahead as well. So an interesting qualifying session so far, as some of the bigger names really seems to be struggling at this stage. But here comes Marsden to the line. He gets a lap time on the board and goes into that 23rd position. Where is Kowalski crosses the line and he goes into 6th place position. Where is the casuals? They are into the final sector now of Revatsa, but looks like Skunky has allowed McGowan through, so Skunky's going to be out of this session. He is done and going to be starting 12th. Has McGowan found the lap time he needed? Yes, he has. P2 for him, and Skunky having to give up his lap to help him out. Here comes Schwarbert, though. Flop goes up into P9. Post now goes to P3. So lap times are improving right at the end. And Schwarbert, in the end, only 5th place for him. As lap times are coming in thick and fast. And drivers dropping out left, right and centre. The 600, Hoochhausen. Has he finally got the lap time together? Has he finally got it on the board? Yes, he has. And he goes P4 with that one. And like I said, trying to get some drivers to the line. Will Brink is now coming to the line, 18th place at the minute. Can he put himself a little bit higher in the silver class? No, he cannot. He stays where he is. Hooper, meanwhile, needs a lap time. He needs a time to improve. Crespo, 18th. Hooper goes 3rd, as then Silth improves on him as well. So he drops further back on that one, but he does get himself up with the rest of the MSA boys. Anderson's on a lap, as is a few others. Matt Wright getting into the session late. And I think we are pretty much there. The 95, Anderson coming to a halt right at the end there. Marsden, though, 25th at the minute. Lee's back in pit lane. Can Marsden improve? Can he go a little bit higher than where he is at the minute? And he does not. He stays where he is. So it's Kieran O'Reilly who takes pole position away from Silth. And then Hoopert in that 3rd place position. Your top 3 all MSA drivers. McGowan in the end P4 with Post. A solid P5. Good session for him. Hoochhausen P6. Schwarbert P7. Hibbs P8. Zdanov P9. And Kowalski rounding out your top 10. Zdanov, another solid qualifying position for him in the silver class. So he leads that class. Nugamanov will start 2nd in silver. 3rd will be Maiga. 4th will be Aberdeen. And leading the bronze as well will be the 81. Ahead of Anderson, Marsden, Smith. So I said a good qualifying session. Ikua MSA rounding out the top 3. They race me so hard, said Varga. Mazzano was easier. So by the sounds of things, he doesn't really prefer this one. Let's get a poll going, shall we? I can't type or think. Race 1 winner. It's looking like it's going to be one of the MSAs, unless something daft happens between them, which could. It's not been unheard of before.
30 seconds.
I'm expecting Hooper to be quite aggressive at the start of this, but we'll see with his MSA crew with him. So there is a poll, ladies and gentlemen. Get your votes in on who you think is going to win this one. So here we go, getting ready for the first race. Get your votes in on who you think is going to this one. O'Reilly pulls away. Good evening, Gary Clarble in the chat. So let's have another run through of the grid. It is Kieran O'Reilly who's going to lead the way ahead of Sylph in second, Hooper in third. Fourth is going to be McGowan. Fifth is Post. Huchhausen is sixth with Schwarber in seventh. Eighth is Hibbs. And ninth will be Sedanov. Kowalski in 10th with Flop in 11th. De Monster in 12th with Nugamanov in 13th. Ramsel in 14th with Skunky in 15th. Maiga in 16th. Aberdeen will start in 17th. 18th is Harris. Crespo will start in 19th with Wilbrink in 20th. Varga 21st. The number 81 in 22nd. Schwarzky in 23rd. Anderson in 24th. Marsden 25th. Smith 26th. And Lee at the back, as Matt Wright did not make the start. And we now get things underway and ready to go. Majority reckon that O'Reilly is going to win this one, or McGowan. It would be nice to see McGowan work his way through and win this one, but he's got a lot of hard work to do to get past the MSA boys, because they are going to be really pushing them to the limits on this one, as they always do. Mind you guys, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell to be notified so you don't miss anything here at SimPlay Motorsport. This is going to be a fun and energetic race. I can feel it already. It's going to be entertaining. And which of the MSAs are going to come out on top? That is the question. Now, I love Imola. It's just not so good here in the M2s, it seems. I'll tell you what, I've done one event in the M2s a while ago in these cars around this circuit. I thoroughly loved them here. I thought they were great fun, but obviously others think otherwise. But it's an MSA 1 and 2. Who is going to take the crown tonight? That is the question. O'Reilly seems to be in a momentum. No messing tonight, so we'll see how these guys get on as Hooper is looking ready and raring to go. It's an MSA lockout, but who is going to take the glory tonight? Is it going to be Kieran O'Reilly, or is it going to be Sylph? That is the question. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and now we wait for starters orders and we get things underway here at Imola. And we are green and go, racing here at Imola. And we see there, Sylph actually got a slight ahead of O'Reilly at the start, but he has managed to fall back into place. And O'Reilly sends it into turn number 1 as we all try and negotiate the first couple of corners here, as they all head into Tamburello for the first time. And relatively clean and fair from all the drivers as they manage to not make any contact with one another, and it is fair and clean, and we are underway racing here as we all head up towards Villeneuve, as we're currently on board with Maiga, who's going wheel to wheel with Ramsel. Fair racing there, and Harrison's in the middle of all that as well. But after the first couple of sequence of corners, it is still O'Reilly from Sylph, from Hooper, from McGowan, Huchhausen, and then we see Post just behind them as well. Huchhausen looking very racy and very aggressive behind McGowan, as is Hooper. trying to attack Silth further back as they all swing their way through Piratella for the first time, and Hoochhausen seems to have a better run through there as McGowan has to go quite defensive further back. How is McGowan's teammate doing? Skunky, he's currently in the traffic at the minute. He's on the back of Flop, started 15th, so he's gained 2 places. Meanwhile, down the inside, Amiga and Nugamanov going wheel to wheel. That is for the silver class, and they want to fight it out as best they possibly can with Aberdeen just behind them with Varga, Schwarski and Wilbrink all close with the 81 in the bronze category there. Looks like Ramsel having pressure from Harris, who looked up the inside of Alta but can't get the run. And that's the fall further back. Meanwhile, there's a little bit of carnage in the silver class. Maiga's facing the wrong way. And who's that? McGowan's in the middle of all that. So his bad luck this season continues on. Not sure where or how that has happened, but Hoochhausen's off as well. So possibly any contact between McGowan and Hoochhausen, we're not sure, but could possibly happen. But away we go. And O'Reilly, though, pulling away from Silth and Hoopert at the minute. Hoochhausen's dropped down the order. It's now Post sat in that P4 position for Apex Motorsport and looking quite competitive here. Hibbs, meanwhile, on the attack of Schwarber. So all these guys with great opportunity to score some points here as Kowalski there going wheel to wheel with Hoochhausen, who's going to send it up the inside, hits the curb relatively hard and will not be able to capitalise on there. We'll get a better exit through the chicane of Tamburello, but Hoochhausen having to hit the brakes. Oh, and there, that was Flop, and he had a big moment, but he manages to catch it very, very well. Skunky's in the middle of this, as is Ramsel, and major contact. Ramsel's ended off in the gravel, as has Zdanov as well, and a major contact there from those guys, and dropping down the order relatively quickly as the rest of the pack come feeding their way through. Meanwhile, the MSA boys trying to extend the gap as much as they possibly can while they're out in front. But O'Reilly already doing the job. Hoopert's probably going to get a track limit warning there, or they should do. But if any of the drivers feel they're not getting warnings and they need them, then make sure you have a look in the tickets to make sure they are not abusing the track limits at all. As Hoopert now on the back bumper of Silth, and Silth's going to be looking more in his rear view than chasing down O'Reilly as they all head up towards the outer chicane. Flop, meanwhile, still on the back of Skunky. He's got Harris for company, and as everyone gets going, Aberdeen and Marsden teammates by the list working together to work their way up the order. Micah going through there as we've got McGowan, who's on a little bit of a recovery drive. He's got Zdanov and Crespo, I think that is. Yes, it is. He's a little bit slow through there, but McGowan does get the job done. And there we see Ramsel also looking to make the move. Down into the Rivatsa chicane. That's not chicane, it's final few quarters. And Crespo under some immense pressure here from Ramsel. But through the chicane they go for the MSA boys, pulling away quite nicely. Post, though, meanwhile, still keeping them in touch with Hibbs there. Looking at it, he had a great run on the back of Schwarber, but he's lost out actually to Kowalski, who's gone up the inside. And through he goes. He gets the position done on Hibbs, and Schwarber there having to defend. De Munster, meanwhile, has got Skunky for company. Flop just behind them as well, and Harris not too far behind them also. So some great racing already from these M2s. Aberdeen still sticking to the back of Wilbrink at the minute, so Will trying to hold off as best he can. And a few drivers in pit lane. The 81 going back into pit lane. Crespo goes a little bit wide. That's possibly giving the opportunity for Ramsel to go around the outside. And Ramsel gets the job done. Back to your leaders. O'Reilly still comfortably out in front and fastest lap to his name. As he then got Post pulling away from Schwarber, who's got Kowalski for company. Hibbs just dropping off the back of that. Meanwhile, Skunky on the move. Skunky on the back bumper of De Monster. And through outer they go. And with them as well, they got Flop and Harris for company. As I say that, Harris has dropped it and ended up in the wall. So Harris is his race going a little bit backwards towards the midpoint of this race. Well, the fights we've got going on at the minute. McGowan's still on a recovery drive. He's slowly catching onto the back of Zdanov and Varga. Everyone else, though, a little bit further back. Varga looks like he's on the move. He's been pushed out wide by Harris, tried to go around the outside. And there, once again, is another car up the inside. That is Zdanov now looking to make a move on Varga. And just behind him, there is McGowan. We'll go on board with McGowan. Zdanov to our inside. Varga ahead of us. He's getting the toe, and toe is being swapped between Zdanov and McGowan. As we now head into the Tamburello chicane. Onto the helicopter cam we go. Is there enough space? Harris goes straight on, and McGowan does get the job done. And a beautiful move to move himself up into, I believe that is 18th place position. He is now looking to make a move on Varga going into Villeneuve. He's going to go around the outside again, but Varga's going to have to give him racing room there, and he manages to do so. But yeah, the 81 there getting a stop and go for speeding in the pit lane, and Ramsel's going to send it up the inside of Zdanov, and it's going to put him alongside. But has he got the traction for a minute there? Also, McGowan looked like he was going to make a move also, but McGowan ended up holding off, and so did Zdanov. So good little scrap between these four. We'll come back to him a little bit later on, as O'Reilly actually has lost a little bit of time to Silth and Hooper. Post still keeping them honest at the minute, as Kowalski now defends off Hibbs, DeMonster, Skunky, Flop, and not quite Nugamanov, but these guys all close to one another. Here comes DeMonster. He's got Skunky for company. Skunky now heading down to Rivazza, getting quite close to the back of him. And he's not too far from getting a good exit there, but Skunky takes a little bit too much of an exit there and ruined his run. We go back to that squabbling group. There we are, as McGowan's now got the run on Varga. Is Varga going to try and keep his nose up the inside? No, he's not. He falls into position. And Lee's also got to stop and go for speeding in the pit lane also. So speeding from those guys, but Ramsel now onto the back bumper of Zdanov. Can he get a better exit? Has he got the better run? And it's looking like it's just I think the internet for some of these drivers is just boomeranging a little bit, coming backwards and forwards. It's quite difficult for them to judge where to take the opportunity. Ramsel gets very, very close to the back of DeMonster, but not able to capitalize there. We go back on DeMonster, who's still got Skunky and Flop for company. Kowalski also has got Hibbs just behind him. So this is a lovely little gaggle of cars having a great little scrap, and it's all behind Schwarber, who's in that 5th place position, who was basically been dropped by Post, who's having a fantastic first race here. The only people ahead of him are the MSA boys, and Hooper, by the looks of things, has dropped off the pace from the top two. If anything, it's Silth now looking like he's coming on the attack of O'Reilly, and he is. He's absolutely sending it through the chicane, and we see here Silth really trying to get close to the back of his teammate. O'Reilly's kind of had the luck of the green this season. He's really been looking much stronger than his teammate, but Silth wants to turn that around. He wants to get a race win to his name, and we'll keep an eye on that inter-team battle. Meanwhile, we got this amazing scrap. DeMonster, Skunky, and Hibbs. Hibbs very defensive at the minute, and Skunky's going to try and go around the outside of DeMonster, around the outside of Rivazza, and he gets shoved off wide, and DeMonster ends up turning from a defense to an attack, and here comes Hibbs. And just behind all that is Flop. We'll go on board with Flop, and look at these four all towing one another. Hibbs giving Skunky the tow, Flop getting the tow off DeMonster as they head now down towards Tamburello. And look how close that Flop gets, kind of drafting and pushing as they come up towards the chicane now. And Skunky's going to try and go through the middle of them. What a move! Skunky needles his way through the gap, and he manages to gain 2 positions out of DeMonster sideways through the exit of Tamburello as they now head up towards Villeneuve. A brilliant move there from Skunky, an absolutely awesome one at that, and the old dog still got some tricks in him by the looks of things as he manages to negotiate his way through there. Silth, meanwhile, still hustling the back of O'Reilly. O'Reilly's trying to just keep his championship focus at the minute. He has got his teammate breathing down his neck. O'Reilly there just going a little bit wide, touching the curb, unsettles the car a little bit, Everywhere else seems to be settled down a bit as we got Demonster and Flop still racing hard at one another. Meanwhile, Marsden has now got Miga for company. What else have we got going on? Varga has got Crespo for company as well. So everyone else kind of spread out a little bit. We've got Marsden trying to chase down Anderson, and Wilbrink's pulled away from this group. So maybe a little bit, Aberdeen. Miga's just on the back of this group also. So we go back to this scrap with Hibbs, Demonster and Flop. And Skunky's brilliant move has allowed him to just pull away a little bit. He's into the top 7 now. Can he do anything about Korski towards the end? That is the question. I say old dog, he's been in SimPlay for a while, and he's got some fair moves underneath him. He goes a little bit wide. Kowalski now looking like he's under a little bit of pressure here. And he's got now Skunky looking to hunt him down. Silth meanwhile has got O'Reilly ahead of him. And O'Reilly now looking very, very, very defensive as Silth is looking incredibly racy and is wanting to find a way through. Has Hoochhausen, where has he ended up? I think he has retired and left the session by the looks of things. As there goes Silth down the inside of O'Reilly. We're looking to the tree line, and O'Reilly gives him the space around the outside. I'm not even going to talk about nicknames there, Clarbel. As O'Reilly still got the run, he's still got the position, and down the inside goes Silth, and Silth will gain the position through Piratella, but he goes wide. And around the outside, does O'Reilly try it? No, he doesn't, and here comes Hooper. Hooper now joining in the scrap as Silth goes a little bit deep through the corner, and the MSA boys having a great little scrap at the minute. And while this is all going on, it is allowing... it's not allowing, sorry, I thought Schwarbert was getting close. He has brought the gap down Post has brought the gap down slightly, but not really enough. So the MSA boys going at it, and Skunky is on a tear at the minute. Oh no, he's lost the position. He's actually made a mistake, so he was ahead of Hibbs, but now he's back behind Hibbs once again, and still, that move was absolutely sensational. On the par of Max Verstappen-esque, as he did around the outside. But here comes Skunky now, looking to attack the back of Hibbs once again. And I'm not sure what happened to Skunky. He must have made a mistake somewhere to drop back behind Hibbs. But either way, he's on the move, and this gag of the cards has caught Korski relatively quickly. And with 6 minutes left to go, anything can happen. Oh, meanwhile, we go back to the front, the top 3, and O'Reilly trying to attack Silth. Silth gets the position back. Hooper's gone around the outside of Tamburello. He's on the grass, he's on the gravel, and Silth holds the lead, but Hooper now right behind him. And what an opportunistic move there from Hooper. Through he goes, and really putting a move on the champ there. And now he's looking to try and attack Silth if he possibly can. Going through the tree line. Oh, slight contact there from O'Reilly. So O'Reilly, who took the lead, took the pole position and been leading majority of this race, has now dropped to 3rd behind his fellow teammates. Meanwhile, Hibbs, Skunky, Demonster and Flop are all going at it one after the other again, and Nugamanov not quite close enough to him at the minute. What else is happening? We've got Aberdeen ahead of Marsden, Miga, Harris and now McGowan. So it's all happening up and down the field. Crespo and Troolski are going at it. But what an interesting fight here. Silth now leading this race with his fellow MSA teammates right behind him. And even though they're racing this hard and this fast, they're pulling away from Post. They're 6.1 ahead of Post, and they're overtaking like this. It is some pace from these boys. Silth, meanwhile, down into the Rivazza final couple of corners, and Hooper has had a better run through there. He's in the tow, he's in the slipstream, and you can see there O'Reilly's just not had the run that Hooper's had out the final corner. And as we head down towards Tamburello once again, Hooper's in the tow, he's in the slipstream. Is he going to send it into the inside of Tamburello? the man who started third. Can he then lead this race? He's looking to the inside, but he thinks better of it going through the chicane. Going back to this scrap between Skunky and Hibbs. We're on board with Hibbs. We'll go on the rear wing and the rear view. And here comes Skunky looking to go down the inside. Is he close enough? No, he's not. He lifts off the brakes and through the chicane we go. Oh, Skunky has a little slide, a little moment there, but he manages to keep it together. And through the Tamburello chicane they go. Skunky looking incredibly racy here. Meanwhile, further back we've got Marston, Harris, Maiga and McGowan. So there's scraps happening left, right and centre. So hard to overtake with that pace. Yes, it is. Berserker is really heating up here. Silth is pulling away now. Oh, he's got the thing on two wheels by the looks of things there. As Hoopert's now lost ground and back into the clutches of the champ O'Reilly, who's really looking to try and get that position back to make it an MSA official 1-2, but we do know it's an MSA 1, 2 and 3 of Hoopert basically being a part of the stable. Skunky once again on the back of Hibbs, looking down towards Aqua Miller Alley, but nowhere really for him to go through there. As you go back to your top three once again, still there Hoopert and O'Reilly both had their own twitch, their own moment. They drop further back. Meanwhile, Marsden, Harris, McGowan's actually lost out there by the looks of things. So Harris gained a few positions, as Aberdeen has as well. Maiga and McGowan, Marsden and McGowan dropping further back. So Danoff on a recovery drive still. But back to your front, Hoopert once again a fantastic exit out of Rivazza. And as we go down towards the chicane of Tamburello, we see once again Hoopert's in the tow. He's in the slipstream, and can he send it into the chicane? That is the question. He's going to look close. He's there. He's got his nose, but he's not quite far enough alongside. And Silth easy enough to cover that off. Meanwhile, here goes Skunky attacking Hibbs down towards the chicane. Skunky breaking later than Hibbs. Can he get it stopped though into Tamburello? Yes, he does. And Hibbs and Skunky having a fantastic scrap, as Demonster and Flop just can't quite stick with them. They're there with them on track, but they're just not able to get into the scrap with them. Meanwhile, side by side is Harris and Maiga. Maiga looking to attack and gain the position, but Harris holds him off as McGowan has cleared Marsden and now tries to chase these two down. No, sorry, he hasn't cleared Marsden. He's still behind Marsden. And there's that train once again. They were scrapping quite hard. It's allowed Kowalski to pull away. And back to your front once again for your top three in this championship. Imola has produced some fantastic racing so far. Hoopert, meanwhile, you can see he's had to slow down. He's taken the exit a little bit too much, and he's given that time back up. And O'Reilly is looking at him, heading into Alta, but not really a set of corners you could really overtake on. Through the chicane they go once again, but this is where Hoopert tends to find the pace. He tends to have a great exit out of Rivazza and attack the back of Silth. As we see here, Skunky now pulling away from Hibbs, who's now got more pressure from Demonster and Flop. Great drive from Skunky, best overtake I've seen for a long time. I will have to put that overtake of the season so far at the minute tips is up there. It was a fantastic move. He goes a little bit wide out the final corner. I think Hibbs might be in a little bit of trouble, but we go back to your top three who start their final lap of the race. It is Silth who leads the way though. And it's going to come down to the wire. Schwarber has slowly but surely been bringing the pace down to post, so we could see a last lap fight for fourth place at the minute. But here's Hibbs. He's still under some immense pressure from Demonster. And why is it again that Imola produces probably one of the best overtakes of a championship? Because that move that Skunky done is phenomenal. It was Max Verstappen. Oh, Demonster has a big slide. He has a big moment going through the exit of Tamburello. But here we go, the final few laps for the MSA boys. Which order is it going to be? Silth, Hooper, O'Reilly? Or is he two behind, finally going to attack Silth at the last minute? Silth though, driven brilliantly, driven smart, driven carefully, and he's slowly working his way onto the back of these guys as they go into the chicane now of Aqua Minerale. Silph's had a bad run there. He's not had the best run. Here comes Hooper. He looks to the inside of Alta. We're going to go to the chicane now. O'Reilly also looking interesting, looking like he wants to capitalize at the last second, but they're all going at it. We're on board with O'Reilly. We're gonna see that right to the end. Meanwhile, Hibbs and Skunky's had another moment. He's had another moment that's put him in the clutches of Hibbs, DeMonster, and Flop as well, and through the chicane they go. How they don't make contact, I don't know. But meanwhile, into the final corner of Rivazza, it is an MSA 1-2-3 sandwich, and it is tight as it could be. But it's going to be Silth who's going to win the race, or is he? As Hooper's going to try and get the drag. He's going to try and get there as close as he can. Who's it going to be? It's Silth from Hooper from O'Reilly. A brilliant drive from the MSA crew. Post in the end. A fantastic drive from him. He is going to take fourth place ahead of Schwarbit in P5. Korski with a solid P6 for him. Skunky, has he managed to hold off the gaggle of cars? Yes, he has. Through he goes 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th for those guys. The monster losing out there. Nugamanov in the end coming home for 11th place position. Wilbrink for 12th. 13th going the way of Harris, ahead of Aberdeen, ahead of Maiga, and then ahead of Marsden with a solid win for him in the bronze class. Zdanov in the end crosses the line 17th, McGowan 18th, Varga 19th, Drolski in 20th, Ramsel 21st, Crespo 22nd, Anderson 23rd, Smith and Lee, I think that is, coming towards the end. Smith 24th, the 81 25th, Lee 26th, and Matt Wright did not start. But what a race from the MSA boys. Brilliant stuff. We'll be back in a few moments time as we will have the second qualifying session underway. But in the meantime, have a look at our fantastic Patreons and make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. We'll be back in a few moments time. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are back underway for the second qualifying session here, and like I said earlier on, it's only a 7-minute session for these guys, so they have to be out there and pretty quick getting on with it, because if they take too long, they will struggle to work their way up the order. Like I said, they will need to make sure they get the best opportunity to score some decent points here. But what a first session we just had. That was just a brilliant racing from all, and really thoroughly enjoyed that one, as Matthew Duffin, I believe, is still going through the table, so we'll focus on qualifying session at the minute. And once again, I believe it will be Hibbs who is the first one out. Yes, it is. And as you can see, the sun is starting to drop here in Italy. What an awesome first session we just had. Brilliant stuff to watch. Struggled to race with, hard to drive with a broken wheel from lap 1 after spinning myself out. Oh, that's such a shame for Anderson then. So it is Hibbs currently out in front at the minute. I didn't get enough time to run to the toilet, so I'm just going to leave this running momentarily as I have a quick wee, and I'll be back in a few moments time. So I'll leave this in the capable hands of Hibbs, but I'll be back shortly. And I am back in good time. Oh, problem with these M2s, there's just not enough time to get everything done and dusted, as I said, straight into the next session. So it's no real chance to catch up on anything. So Duffin has done the tables. Oh, excuse me. So Hibbs now exiting the final corner. God, I ran up those stairs really fast in slippers that shouldn't really. I probably would have broken my neck, really. Right, so Hibbs crosses the line, sets a 57.0. McGowan crosses the line as Skunky goes a serious 5 thousandths of a second faster. Still, again, 6 thousandths of a second just behind O'Reilly. So a good lap time from the two MSA boys. Got a lap in nice and early as well. Excuse me. Just trying to arrange the tables as well. So lap time's coming in thick and fast. Zdanov goes P3 with that lap time. And Post once again showing some decent pace, 7th at the minute. The Monster now crossing line in 8th place position. Ichini has Matt Wright now crosses line. He gets himself back onto the circuit and he goes in 11th place position. Korski, another strong run there, P3 for him. Best Skunky's overtake ends up in a race skip. So I would hope it does. I really would hope it does, for sure, because, like I said, that was the move of the season, for sure. A brilliant run, nonetheless, from him. So the first couple of laps have come through. Hibbs now coming into the final sector now. So everyone now, I reckon this gaggle of cars, I think this was it 38, yes, it's post. I reckon these gaggle of cars are going to be the only ones to get a lap time on the board, or get another lap going, because it's going to be tight for the rest of them. And looks like all those cars as well are invalid. So Hibbs now coming towards the line. Is this going to be an improvement? Currently P6 at the minute. Can he improve on that? He can. He goes P5. Here comes Skunky and McGowan meanwhile. And Skunky, no improvement, nor McGowan. So this is it for these guys. They kind of have to set the bar now. O'Reilly doesn't improve, neither does Sylph. And where is Hoopert in all of this? Hoopert is... has he set a lap time? I can't see him. But either way, Schwarbert goes into P4. Korski on a lap. Zdanov now coming out of the final few corners here. And towards the line he comes. A couple of cars ahead. That was Nugamanov improving. Zdanov doesn't improve. The Monster will be the last one to cross the line to be able to set a lap time. He now goes 7th. And who's that coming towards the line to end their session? That is Harris, and he does not improve. He stays 13th with that one. Who are we looking at now? Schwolski goes 18th. Then we got Wilbrink, who goes 16th with that lap time also. A few other cars coming to the line. That was Hooper, who goes fastest overall and goes to the top of the table. So great lap time there from Hooper, put him fastest overall. Any other lap times coming in towards the end of this session. The 81 doesn't get a lap time on the board. Marsden in the end only 18th. Hibbs now is on a run, or he was. He's now returned to pit lane, so he's done for the session. It is now down to the casuals, and they really do need to get this lap time on the board. Can they find the lap times they need? Skunky and McGowan wanting to battle it out with the MSA boys. They've looked fast, they've looked competitive. Can they show the pace they actually have? Here comes Skunky now towing McGowan along. What is it going to be? 0.8 of a second is needed. He crosses the line and he goes fastest overall. McGowan goes 5th with that one. O'Reilly snatches it back though. McGowan's up there with the MSA boys. Post though, P8 once again for him. Another strong qualifying session from him. Schwarber P7 on that one. And who else on a lap? Flop goes 12th. His teammate looking mighty at the minute. Zdanov now also on a lap. What can he produce? Just ahead of him is, I believe, his fellow teammate. And crossing the line, Zdanov only 9th with that one. But Kieran O'Reilly takes pole position. But this time, he's got Skunky for company. And this is going to be interesting going into the first couple of corners. Now, let's see what these boys can actually do with the MSA crew, because this should be an entertaining race nonetheless. But Skunky, what a lap there to put him towards the front end of the pack. Team driving qualifying there says tips in the chat. Was a good session for those boys. They did exactly what they needed to do. They got themselves towards the front. And now, what can they do from there? Skunky obviously going for the attack. And can McGowan just slowly work his way through the order and help him out as best he possibly can a little bit later on? That's the question. Be nice to see both the casuals giving the leaders a hard time. So here we go, another time to put another poll together, shall we? Race 2 winner.
30 seconds.
But O'Reilly looking good and mighty at the minute, being the defending champion. Didn't win the last one though. Oh god, nearly dropping my controller. That would have been bad. And Hooper once again in P3, doing the job he needs to do. Obviously being an independent, he only focused on himself. And Sylth once again, can he take another race win? It's going to be a little bit harder from P4. But either way, there is your poll. Who you think is going to win this one? As they now pull away, let's get a run through of the grid order. It's Kieran O'Reilly who starts on pole position and Skunky starting alongside him. Hooper is going to be P3 with Sylth in P4, McGowan in P5 with Kowalski starting P6, Schwarbert in P7 with Post in P8, Zdanov P9 with Hibbs in P10. The Monster will start in 11th with Flop in 12th place position. Nugamanov 13th with Harris in 14th place position. Aberdeen 15th with Varga in 16th. Will Brink in 17th place position with Marsden in 18th. Shrorsky in 19th with Matt Wright starting in 20th position. Lee 21st with Smith in 22nd. Anderson in 28th with a very, very dirty car. Maiger in 24th. Crespo 25th, Ramsell 26th, and the 81 starting at the back of the pack. So guys, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell to be notified if you don't want to miss anything here at SimPlay Motorsport. We've still got some fun and entertaining races coming up later in the week. Tomorrow night is the Pro-Ams. And then just after them on Thursday night is the pros. We've seen some blistering lap times from the drivers in those categories. The fastest we've ever seen people go around Imola at SimPlay Motorsport. It should be a fascinating week's worth of racing ahead of us. Imola always produces some fantastic racing. But who's it going to be between O'Reilly and Skunky? Who put there in the middle of all this? You got the casuals versus the MSAs, and then the one independent, really kind of splitting the group at the minute. But it should be a fantastic race to watch. As we got O'Reilly, defending champion. What can he do? Have a look at our fantastic sponsors, Design Manchester and Team Audio Sport. Give them a follow and like on all their social media as well. As we get things ready and raring to go for the second time tonight. 3 races to come, 1 done, 2 to go. Here we go. Who's it going to be? Who is going to be the king of Imola? That is the question. Here at the Autodrome, Enzo Edino Ferrari. There's me always trying to sound Italian, but I never do. I just sound like a really bad impersonation of it. But we are into the final quarter. Revazza. Skunky versus O'Reilly. MSA versus the casuals, as he got their teammates just behind them for backup as well. Who's going to take this one? As we now wait for the starters orders here for the second race here at Imola. Here we go. And we are green and go, racing here at Imola for the second time. Skunky's going to try and do a Verstappen all the way around the outside. He's got to fire enough alongside. Is he brave enough on the brakes? No, he is not. O'Reilly's going to have the inside. McGowan just needs to stay out of trouble and stick with the leaders. And as they all manage to negotiate the first couple of corners, Hoopert's right there. And Skunky and Hoopert nearly come together as they all go through Tamburello. Relatively clean and fair. A little bit of contact further back. I think that was Matt Wright getting a little bit of a shove. But everyone relatively clean and fair through the first couple of corners. Skunky, meanwhile, under immense pressure from Hooper as we head down towards the hairpin of Toza, and around the outside Hooper tries to get the run, but he can't get far enough along through. At the minute, O'Reilly's been released and sent as Hooper now trying to hold off. Now Silthy's looking down the inside further back. what else is happening? We've got a gaggle of cars here going at it. We've got Ramsel going against Lee and Wright as well. So those guys relatively close towards the back of the pack. Nugamanov racing. Marsden, I think that is ahead of him. Wilbrink's moving forward also with Varga just on the tail end of the top 14 now, as they all finally get themselves into some form of train. And O'Reilly with the jump. Skunky ahead of Hooper, ahead of Silt, ahead of McGowan, ahead of Schwarber. Then it's Kowalski, Post, Zdanov, Hibbs, Flop, DeMonster, Harris, Varga, Marsden, Nugamanov, Wilbrink, Maiger, who's just dropped behind Shaworski, Aberdeen, Lee, Ramsel, Wright, Anderson, Crespo, 81, and then the Smith driver bringing up the rear of the pack. But we are on our way out of Rivazza, and Hooper once again with a bad exit there. Well, sorry, Skunky with a bad exit and allowing Hooper to get a little bit closer. Sylph not quite on the back of these two at the minute, and McGowan's trying his best to stick with him. Meanwhile, further back, it looks like Kowalski looking to make a move on Schwarber, going around the outside towards Tamburello, but he's not quite close enough at this stage. And that's the full back further behind. Meanwhile, we got Nugamanov, Marsden and Wilbrink going at it wheel to wheel, bouncing over the curb. It goes Wilbrink. Marsden, though, looking to make an opportunity from it, but he can't quite do it. He goes over to the gravel further back. That looks like Anderson, I think, is off. Oh, and that's a big off. I think that's for Matt Wright. Yeah, it is. He's got major damage to the front end of his car, and Anderson drops further back. And Skunky, meanwhile, still under some immense pressure from Hooper. And Hooper now wanting to get through because he's allowing O'Reilly to disappear. But this happened earlier on. O'Reilly got the jump. He pulled away. And then everyone else started to creep onto the back of him once again. And Skunky defending heavily here from Hooper, who's got Sylph breathing down his neck. And Hooper and Sylph not able to capitalise at the minute. I think Skunky went a little bit too deep there, and Hooper's got the run. He's got the opportunity. Can he do it into Alta? I don't think he can. And he has to fall back into position further back. We've still got a lot of cars congested up. DeMonster on the back of Flop. He's got Harris and also Varga for company. And everyone else. Oh, I think that was possibly Crespo, the 81 driver, just going a little bit wide also. And Matt Wright is on a recovery drive. Ramsel drops to the back of the pack also. Oh, he's having a big moment on his own. He dropped it down the straight. And O'Reilly running away. Is Hooper now up the inside. Contact with Skunky there and Sylph. And Skunky's gone off big time. He's gone around and he's nailed it around, and he's spun the car around as quick as he can. He's dropped down the order. I think he's going to end up behind. And there's Marsden, so he's ended up dropping down to 16th, 17th, and possibly now 18th. Yeah, he's dropped right down the order, has Skunky, and now McGowan is under pressure from that of Schwarber and Kowalski. So both the casuals looking racy with the MSA boys, and both of them have lost out significantly there. Hooper, though, McGowan, though, hasn't as heavily. So can McGowan be the threat to the leaders, as looks like Varga is making a move down the inside of Harris, who's also making a move on DeMonster. And DeMonster losing out on both positions there. And Varga makes contact, and around they all go. And they split for DeMonster. I think that was Varga's doing there. He goes on the curb, he goes round, and contact is made. And they both drop down the order. There they are, waiting for the cars to come through. So Skunky will gain a couple of positions there, I believe. Yes, he has. So Skunky gaining a few back as Varga and Harris still waiting. Oh, my. Oh, that was close there from them. But can Hooper now bring that gap back down to O'Reilly? It's 3.5. Oh, there, Schwarber had a big moment. He goes off through Aqua Minerale, and through goes Post once again with a few of the others as well. So Danoff going through. Hibbs is there on the inside as well. He's going to go down the inside of Schwarber, who was having a very good race one. His race two is looking like he's going a bit backwards this time round. And everyone else seems like they're in a little bit more of a groove. As Skunky 18th now for him. Further back is the 81 going past Crespo. Matt Wright getting ahead as Varga, Harris, and Ramsel's ended up back in pit lane. So Ramsel possibly going to get a qualifying ban for next time out if he doesn't get out relatively soon. But Hooper now looking to try and bring that gap down. 3.5 is the gap. Getting a bit hectic. Yeah, it is a little bit there, Tips. 3.5 was the gap. It's now 3.4. So a 10th gain there for him, as now McGowan is going to try and stick with the MSA boys and just let them drag him around, try and get in his toe. But Kowalski there still with him, as is Post, Zdanov, Hibbs, Schwarber and Flop all close together. And chasing down the leader of Hooper, who's dragging them all along to try and get closer to O'Reilly. If they don't squabble, they should be able to catch him. Love these aggressive races, says Berserker. I love them too, but not as a steward, because you end up having to go through God knows how many tickets, and it's yeah, and trying to tell drivers why they're in trouble is interesting nonetheless. O'Reilly though seems to be in a little bit of a groove and pulling away. Pulling away ever so slightly at this moment in time, so we'll see what they can do at the minute. Can Hooper bring that gap down? It took him a while though for them to get into a little bit of a groove, but at the minute Hooper taking a little bit of too much curb there by the looks of things. But we'll see how they all get on. Hibbs meanwhile still sticking to the back as Zdanov. Hibbs has spent more time defending than attacking most of this evening. He has been in the scraps nonetheless. No shortage of bent sheet metal. Hello SimPlay in the chat. Hello Mac in the chat, and I understand lol. Yeah, the stewards are just a ball ache of a job, and I get the fun of stewarding this class as well, so yeah, not fun trying to explain to drivers why they've been naughty. The Monster not able to stick to the back of them. Single make does make for great racing. I totally agree, Tibbs. This is why we've introduced the M2s this season. They're definitely entertaining. Skunky meanwhile has made a move on Miga, so he is on his way to recovery drive. It's going to take a lot from him though. Meanwhile, Silth is on the move and attacking Hooper. Hooper's possibly made a mistake somewhere, and that's going to allow the MSA driver up the inside, and through he goes. So Silth there gaining a position on Hooper, who's bouncing over the curb. Silth was the man who seemed to have the pace and the consistency to hunt down O'Reilly, so maybe Hooper allowing him through now is going to try and let them catch O'Reilly, as Schwarber there defending heavily from Hibbs, or sorry, attacking heavily on Hibbs, and Hibbs holding off the inside. The 31, can he stop him coming through? Yes he can, but only just as they go through. Oh, and Hooper's come to a stop. We know Hooper's been struggling with wheel problems, and I think another wheel problem has arrived, and that's put McGowan now into the top three. So Hooper, I believe, has returned to the pit, or has been disconnected possibly. One of the two, but we do know Hooper has been suffering with wheel problems. McGowan there goes a bit deep and a bit wide, goes off the circuit, and Silth holds on to the position momentarily, but 5 seconds is the gap. Kowalski now joining in on the scrap as well, and Post again having another solid drive sticking on the back of Kowalski. Here comes Schwarber though up the inside, oh sorry, Flop momentarily looking up the inside, but thought better of it and stuck behind him. Once again, we've got Schwarski, Marsden and Aberdeen all relatively close to one another, and Marsden doing his best to defend off the 977. And here comes Schwarski towards the final few corners of Revatsa. And into the final few corners they go. And Schwarski trying his very best to find a way through, but he can't do it at the minute. Aberdeen close to him as well. Any other fights happening down the path? We got Harris and Smith going wheel to wheel. Would have loved to see you on track, Tips, and it's such a shame that you're not able to join us. Hopefully we can get your wheel problems sorted, and maybe just in time as we go to PMR, which is looking very, very interesting. McGowan meanwhile was close to Silth. He's now just dropped off the back of him and fallen into the clutches, as Kowalski now looks like he wants to have a bit of the action, and Kowalski for a moment there looked to the inside, but McGowan had it covered. McGowan there still holding them off at the minute. O'Reilly long gone into the distance. They head up towards Piratella for the 5th time, technically 6th for some reason. ACC class lap 1 is lap 0, so it's actually the 6th time we've come through here. But again, McGowan doing a good job keeping these guys behind momentarily. So got a long way to go yet. Meanwhile, Aberdeen is now attacking Shrovsky. This could be an interesting scrap heading down to Acqua Minerale. He's not able to get the job done there. Shrovsky goes a bit wide, takes a lot more curb. He's going to take advantage of that and try and get the run on the back of Marsden. Unable to get close enough. Lee, meanwhile, has got Smith behind him. Not really doing anything at the minute. O'Reilly, though, way out in front. 5.2 is the gap to him and Silth. And Silth trying everything he possibly can to try and bring that gap down. But it's just not coming down at all. Until line comes Silth. It's gained 5.6, so Silth is pulling away quite comfortably at the minute. McGowan still got Korski for company. Post looking to try and make his way up the order. Hibbs now, I said earlier on, was defending a lot. He obviously wanted to prove a point that he's now attacking onto the back of Schwarber. Bouncing over the curb goes Schwarber. Hibbs, though, still looking for that opportunity to get through, but not quite close enough at this stage. Will bring close to the back of Nugamanov. Marsden has a slight moment, and here comes Shrovsky down the inside of the exit of Tamburello. He's going to be on the inside for Villeneuve, and he gets the job done. Shrovsky, and Marsden fairly gives him some racing room. Shrovsky gets the job done. Marsden, though, still leading the bronze class quite comfortably at the minute. The lead in silver at the minute is Zdanov, but there Shrovsky had a bad exit. Is Marsden going to look to try and make a move back at him? He's going to go to the outside of Piratella, because obviously Shrovsky's defended the inside. Slight contact there. That's going to send Shrovsky a little bit wide, but Marsden has his own little wobble. He's not able to capitalise on it. That's a fall back into place. Meanwhile, McGowan's still got Kowalski for company. When McGowan had to straight line the chicane quite a lot there. That's going to be a ping for sure. And Kowalski looking to try and get closer to him. Really starting to put the pressure on him by the looks of things. Shrovsky, meanwhile, bouncing over the curve. He's got Marsden and Aberdeen still for company. The 81 still going wheel to wheel with Smith. Both of them look like it's gone extremely wide. There is a corner there somewhere, lads. But they're taking the NASCAR line. So O'Reilly pulling away, but Silph's now starting to get on the pace of O'Reilly. I think O'Reilly's pretty much got this in the bag unless he makes a big mistake. But McGowan is also trying to hold off Kowalski, who's sitting right behind him. Post another solid drive from him. Zdanov, the silver driver, looking very good. Schwarber also close. Hibbs having a good little scrap flop. DeMonster, all these guys all relatively close to one. So this second race turned out to be absolute chaos. Oh, Marsden has a wiggle. He had a wiggle, he had a moment, but he's managed to collect it and put it together. Aberdeen not able to get close enough to capitalise on that one. Probably the closest fight at the minute is McGowan and Kowalski, pretty close to one another. As they head up now to the left-hander, can Kowalski get McGowan? That is the question. Chicane they go. Looks like he's actually lost quite a bit of time here to him. Hibbs still on the attack with Schwarber. And now this is your closest fight. Wilbrink's actually quite close to Nugamanov, who's made a mistake through the Acqua Minerale chicane. Just behind them we see the squabble between Shrovsky, Marsden and Aberdeen. Again, they're going at it once again. A great little scrap between those guys, as well as O'Reilly still extends the gap. Oh, Aberdeen has a slide. He gets close and then he has a moment and drops further back. But McGowan now heading down the back straight. Kowalski quite close behind. Then his post, Zdanov. And and Schwarber there has lost out to Hibbs. So Hibbs has managed to get ahead of Schwarber. That's going to put him back into 7th place position. So Hibbs on the move. Can he catch the Danoff? That's the question towards the latter part of this race. But O'Reilly comfortably out in front at the moment. No stresses whatsoever. Silth in that P2. McGowan P3. Kowalski P4. P5 is post. Then there's a Danoff in 6th. Hibbs from Schwarber Flop for 7th, 8th, 9th. And DeMonster rounding out your top 10. Nugamanov in 11th. Wheelbrink in 12th. Trolski 13th. Marsden 14th. Aberdeen 15th. Maiga in 16th, Skunky in 17th, Crespo in 18th, Wright 19th, Varga in 20th, Harris 21st, Lee 22nd, the 81 driver in 23rd, then it's Smith, Anderson who's ended up in the wall, and Ramsel who has come out as well to complete the race. And here we go, Shawbert and Flop going at it, two teammates here, the Autobahn United drivers. This is for Pride, who wants to be the top dog in the group. Wilbrink's got the gap down to Nugamanov as well, so scraps are still happening towards the end of this race. Kowalski's brought the gap back down to McGowan as well. O'Reilly's lost a little bit of time to Silth, but really not in any stress or threat at the minute. Nugamanov having to be defensive from Wilbrink, and that's going to give him a poor exit out of the chicane. And Wilbrink going to try and have a better run through the chicane to head down to Ravazza and send it down the inside of the Ravazza corner, but I don't think he's quite close enough. And Szorowski's slowly starting to catch the pair of them, so they might have something to think about later on in this race. But here comes Kowalski, now in the tow of McGowan, as Flop has got ahead of Schwarber as well. So Schwarber's just gone backwards in this one. Finally not the good one for Anderson. As the monster going through the chicane, Nugamanov still defending heavily here from Wilbrink. There's Marsden and Aberdeen kind of in sequence at the minute. Oh, Szorowski's had a moment, and Marsden might have an opportunity here to go around the outside of Villeneuve. He's going to try and send it around the outside. He gets into the corner first, and Szorowski, all that hard work he done earlier on has become undone, and he's back into the clutches of Marsden and Aberdeen. Flop and Schwarbert's fight still continuing on, but it is all eyes on your third and final podium position between McGowan and Kowalski, who are still battling it hard, both pushing the limits. And you see there McGowan taking a lot of curb. He's finally getting a good race underneath his belt. Can he just finish strong? That's the question. Here comes Szorowski. He's gone very wide, so Aberdeen and Marsden has gained on him, and he's lost more than he's gained actually in that one. Varga chasing down Wright to the very end. But we now come towards the final few corners, and O'Reilly's going to start his final lap with Silth in that P2 position. MSA looking good for this one. Now McGowan just has one more lap to negotiate and keep Kowalski behind him. Schwarber still giving Flop a little bit of a headache. The monster has brought that gap down as well. Wilbrink and Nugamanov getting close to one another again. Wilbrink just needs a good exit, a good run. Marsden and Aberdeen are continuing their fight with Szorowski, and Harris has caught the back of Varga. Both are heavily damaged from earlier on in this race as they go wheel to wheel once again. Did Harris send it down the inside? Yes, he has. He's going for the move. Varga goes wide. They both go off by the looks of things, and Harris gets the job done on Varga. Oh, and Harris then drops it on the rear. Clearly running with no traction control, and drops the back end of the car. And around he goes. And here we go. Has Wilbrink finally got the run? Oh, and Aberdeen in the background has made contact with Szorowski, but having his own slide in his own moment, and he's going to drop down the order. He's got to be careful when rejoining, as he nearly makes contact with, who is that? That's Anderson, who's got going. But oh, what a moment there, as Kowalski now right on the back bumper of McGowan. Can McGowan hold off Kowalski at the minute, who's really, really looking racy here? He wants that podium position. He wants to be on the podium, get that third place position. And at the minute, he's not looking like he's going to get the job done. McGowan's doing everything he needs to right now. Takes a little bit too much exit there. Kowalski might think of sending it into the final corner, but we have to look back to your race winner. It is O'Reilly once again with another strong race. Kowalski into the final corner. He's going to send it up the inside, but he's missed his brakes. He's opted to completely miss the corner, and McGowan will hold on to P3. But here he comes, your champion. Your defending champion and your championship leader wins the race here. Kieran O'Reilly takes fastest lap of the race, pole position and race win. A dominant race too nonetheless. Silth will come in for second, and McGowan finally gets a break. He finishes P3 on that one. Kowalski in P4. Post, another solid job for P5. Sedanov P6. Hibbs P7. Flop is going to finish in P8 ahead of Schwarber, ahead of DeMonster. Then it's going to be Wilbrink did manage to get Nugamanov right at the very end there, and across the line goes Wilbrink ahead of Nugamanov. Marsden in the end is going to finish in 13th place position. Schwarowski is just going to stay ahead of Maiger for 14th and 15th place position. Crespo in the end is going to finish 16th with that one. And Matt Wright now coming to the line also. He's going to finish in 17th place position. Varga in the end in 18th, and Skunky dropping further back to 19th in the end. Ali finishing in 20th with Aberdeen in 21st. The 81s had a spin in the final corner, so he's lost out to Smith, who's going to finish 22nd. The 81 23rd. Harris in the end 24th. Anderson 25th, and Ramsel bringing up the rear in 26th position. What a win though for the MSA boys, and not a dominant race for that one. Top points for them. We'll be back in a few minutes time as we will have the third and final qualifying and race to go. I'll see you in a few moments time. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we now head into our third and final qualifying session of the night. And it is all coming down to this final few points here in the championship to see who is going to come out on top here at Imola. It's definitely been an entertaining night's worth of racing, and definitely all the drivers have been pushing to the limits here. Race 2 is a little bit scrappier than race 1, but race 1 nonetheless brought us some great racing, and we'll see if the MSAs continue being dominant as they are. They've taken the first win, they've taken the second. Can they take the third? But this time around, who's it going to be? Is it going to be Silth or is it going to be O'Reilly? That is the question. Hibsto managed to get out on track first, and he is going to be the first man to set a lap time once again. So make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything here at SimPlay Motorsport. So points have been updated, and it's looking like this. It is O'Reilly who leads the way with Silth in second. Third is now Hooper, and fourth is Skunky. Fifth is McGowan with Mezin in sixth. Seventh is Schwarbert, and eighth is the Monster. Gorski now in P9 with Airish P10. Lojak in P11. Hibbs in P12 with Post P13. Harris in 14th with Zdanov 15th. Wilbrink in 16th. Close fight between those two at the minute. Flop in 17th with Proshnet in that 18th place position. Varga in 19th. Ramsel 20th. Nugamanov 21st with Matt Wright 22nd. Marsden in 23rd. Maiga 24th. Cresbo 25th. And Aberdeen 26th. Cox 27th. Shaworski 28th with Anderson in 29th. Jacket 30th with Lee 31st. Gillies in 32nd with Johnson 33rd. Smith in 34th with Parrow 35th. The 81 driver in 36th position. Crack in 37th with Hoochhausen in 38th. 39th is Middington. Waste in 40th. Stardog in 41st. Leach 42nd. Langley 43rd. And Butcher in 44th. Regarding the teams, just double checking that they've updated. Yes, they have. It is MSA still leading the way ahead of the casuals in second, and Schwarzer Motorsport in that third place position. I think we ended up losing Lojak earlier on, so he's not there at the minute. The Autobahn United also in P4. Greasy Bandits P5 of Apex in Motorsport in P6. Kozak Racing in P7 with only Siders P8. Ninth is GBU Racing with Team FBGB in P10. SimPlay Racing in 11th. Soldor in 12th with Minex Racing in 13th. Quantum Motorsport 14th. Billy No Mates in 15th. And Team SPR at the back of the pack. Marston still leads the way in bronze with Anderson in second. Johnson third. Smith fourth. Parrow fifth. The 81 driver in sixth. Crack 7th. And Waste in 8th. And silver, it's Zdanov, Wilbrink, Varga, Nugamanov, Maiga, Cresbo, and Aberdeen, Cox, Schrorsky, Jacket, Lee, Gillies, Millington, Butcher, Stardog, and Leach. Regarding gold is O'Reilly, Silth, Hooper, Skunky, McGowan, Mezin, Schwarbert, The Monster, Korski, Airish, Lojek, Hibbs, Post, Harrison, Flop, Porschnet, Ramsel, Wright, Hoochhausen, and Langley. Hibbs crosses the line, sets the pace of a 56, and Silver straight away goes straight into the 56 ones. O'Reilly this time failing to put a lap time on the border. Schwarbert goes into P3, McGowan P4, and we've got Post cross the line to go P5. We've got a few more drivers coming to the line. Skunky not getting a lap time. Smith goes into P7. Maiga straight away takes that away from him. And Wilbrink in the end goes into P8. I believe it is then Matt Wright we are going to see cross the line next. Nope, it was the Monster, and he goes into P6. And just behind him was a driver who did not put a lap time on the board. Zdanov crosses line to go 7th. And so far, a few of the drivers struggling to get a lap time on the board. That was Anderson not getting a lap time on the board. As Korski now goes into P9. I think a few of these drivers just struggling to get some lap times on the board this time round. especially getting around fast enough to get another lap time on the board as Hibbs is coming into the final chicane. So it's going to be tight for lap times. Another lap time coming through. That is the 81. Putting a lap time on the board, as was no one else. So at the minute it is Silt who is currently holding the pace at the minute, as Hibbs now exits the final corner. Hibbs exiting the final corner is now just behind him as well. I believe that is McGowan. What can Hibbs do? Is this going to be an improvement on his lap time? No, it's not. McGowan, meanwhile, does improve to go second with that lap time. But O'Reilly goes to the top of the session. Now Skunky's involved. The MSA boys are taking the fight to him. Schwarbert, meanwhile, crosses the line. Only 6th. Flop didn't improve either. Post, though, goes into P4. And a great run from him there. The Monster now coming through the final few corners. Any other guys closer to the line? Skunky's done, so he's returned back to pit lane. The Monster, though, next to come to the line, just ahead of him, I think it's Matt Wright as well. And towards the line is Matt Wright. He goes on the board, and the Monster doesn't improve. Harris, though, goes into P8. Zdanov there, P5 for him on that one, so a good lap time for him. So Skunky now dropping down the order. That surprise pole from him has gone. Anderson, though, in the end, just 19th for him. As we've got a few more lap times to come on the board. Kowalski, in the end, only 9th. So he's going to struggle to do a lot from there. And we go on board with the 44, Nugamanov, who's going to come out the final corner, currently 13th at the minute in this moment in time. And to the line he comes, Nugamanov in the end, only 13th is good enough for him. We now wait for the last few laps here. The 420 of Marsden coming to the line. And what is Marsden going to do here? He's only 15th on that one. I believe Hibbs is on a lap. Yes, he is. I don't know if it's valid or not. Hibbs does not improve. He stays where he is. Silt is in pit lane. Is McGowan? No. So all your top guys aren't on a lap. It's Schwarbert now coming to the line. That's Flop, though, who goes 8th. He now goes back to 9th as Schwarbert improves. Who else on a lap? The Monster is on a lap. The 666, that is Maiga, who's coming to the line now. And who was that just ahead of him? It's cool. No, it wasn't Kowalski. Maiga in the end goes 13th. With that one, the 99, that was Aberdeen crossing the line, and lap times are coming in thick and fast. Smith in the end doesn't improve. Did Post go on a lap? No, he hasn't. Zdanov is on a lap. De Monster, no improvement either from him. He stays 10th, and Zdanov stays in P5. A good qualifying session there in the silver place position, but Post, another solid job from him. So Post really showing what he can do here tonight at Imola, as we get things ready to go for our third and final race of the night. Once again, it is an all-one MSA front row. Can anyone stop him? That is the question. McGowan's there with him. Can he give them a bit of a hard time? The sunset might give him a bit of a headache going into some of these corners, as it will start to really get in their eye line. But some beautiful weather we've had here in Imola, in Italy. Some might say against in here in the UK. A bit horrible at the minute here in the UK. But Post, really good night's worth of racing here for him. There's the poll, ladies and gentlemen. Get your votes in on who you think is going to win this one. So get your votes in on who you think is going to win this race. Make sure you hit your like and subscribe button.
30 seconds. 20 seconds.
Good luck, all says Berserker in the chat. Good luck indeed. As we get things underway for the final time here tonight, and it is O'Reilly once again who's on pole position here, so he will start on pole. We're still starting alongside him. McGowan in third with Post in fourth. Zdanov will start in fifth with Skunky in sixth. Schwarber in P7. P8 is Hibbs. P9 is Flop with the Monster in P10. Kowalski in P11 with Harris in P12. Varga P13 with Maiga in 14th. Nugamanov in 15th with Wilbrink in 16th. Marsden in 17th. Aberdeen in 18th. Matt Wright in 19th with Anderson in 20th. The 81 driver started in 21st with Smith in 22nd, Lee in 23rd, Crespo 24th, Ramsell 25th, and Shaworski at the back of the pack. So here we go for the final time tonight. Like I said, guys, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell to be notified so you don't miss anything here at SimPlay Motorsport. It's been a fantastic night's worth of racing once again. And still yet to come are some awesome races ahead of you in the rest of the week. We've got the Pro-Ams tomorrow night. They'll be attacking the circuit here at Imola at the Autodrome Enzo E Dino Ferrari Imola. And I was not even going to attempt to try and do the actual name that Formula One give it. I think it's like the Amiga Romane Grand Prix, something like that. Probably butchered that really badly. But like I said, the Pro-Ams tomorrow night with their sprint and feature to come. 15-minute sprint based on the championship reverse grid order, and then obviously the hour-long feature race. And obviously the same for Thursday night for the pros as well. So still some great racing yet to come this week, and make sure you tune in for all of that here at SimPlay Motorsport. And as you can do that, you hit the bell to be notified so you do not miss any of the action. Like and subscribe to the channel. And yeah, we'll see how they all get on in the week. But here we go, the final time for the Whodarron Cup. It is Kieran O'Reilly who starts on pole position with Silt starting alongside him. MSA have been so good around here at Imola. Can they continue the winning form? Which out of the two MSAs is going to take the bragging rights and get the third and final win? Or can McGowan or Post get involved and stop them from having a third win tonight? That is the question. But it is going to be Silt and O'Reilly going at it wheel to wheel. They now exit the final corner of Rovatsa, and we now get ready to go racing one more time here in Imola for the Whodarron Cup. The M2 Championship. Who is going to come out on top? That is the question. O'Reilly or Silth, as we are now going into the final few moments here as we now wait for starters orders here for race 3. And we are green and go, racing here in Imola, and looks like O'Reilly trying to go wheel to wheel with Silver as they head down towards turn number 1. And Aberdeen, apparently his pedals have played up, as Post looking to make the move on McGowan, as Ken's in the chat saying that he wants Post to get a podium as we go through the first couple of corners here, relatively clean between the leaders. Oh, and there goes Zdanov into the wall big time as he held his brakes. He has managed to do so. And a big off for him. He's ended up dropping down the order big time, but no contact made with any of the other drivers. But he has managed to get going once again, and it's all getting quite congested towards the back of the pack here. as they go through the hairpin of Toza, and around the outside Nugamanov's been forced a little bit wide, but he's kept it together as they now head up towards Piratella for the first time, and Skunky's sitting on the back of Post. He needs to give Post a little bit of a headache to help McGowan out, but it is MSA 1-2, but it's Silth who leads from O'Reilly. Can Silth take bragging rights here at Imola? That is the question, as Post once again getting stuck in with the casual drivers as they all go through the chicane. Everyone else relatively in order. Varga, meanwhile, looking like he's going to be under some pressure of Maiga going into the outer chicane, but not quite close enough. Ramsel, meanwhile, has got his hands full. He's got he's made a couple of places actually, as he's on the back of Matt Wright, and we've got the rest of the drivers coming through. I said Aberdeen suffering with a couple of pedal problems. Swarovski has got damage to the front end of his car, but it's back to the MSA scrap once again. It is down to these two, Silth versus O'Reilly, and Post now really giving McGowan a little bit of a hard time, as Post looking very, very racy in this one. He's in the slipstream, he's in the toe of McGowan, and can he do anything with this pace? Post has been looking so good tonight. Can he finally get himself on the podium? He's got a great opportunity to do so, and he's in going up towards Tamburello for the first time. He gets very close to the back of McGowan, but can't get quite alongside. Excuse me. As they go through Tamburello, Ramsel looking a bit racy on Matt Wright as well. There we go. Post may have got a run on McGowan as they go through Villeneuve. Down the inside goes Post, and he will give him racing room on the inside. McGowan and Post. Coast goes a little bit wide. Here comes Skunky. He gets close, but Post gets the job done. Or has he? Because McGowan's going to go around the outside of Toza. And Post does get the job done. He's into third place position. Meanwhile, Skunky's got his own hands full. He's got Schwarbert behind him, or alongside him more like, and Schwarbert's going to go up the inside of Skunky. Can he brake later? And Skunky's shoved off wide as Schwarbert keeps it on the inside, and Skunky keeps it pinned and stops Flop from getting back through also. But Post gets the position there, and job done from him. He now tries to pull away from McGowan, but Schwarbert has got Skunky for company, and Skunky's coming back at him. He's had a run towards the chicane, but Schwarbert closes the door shut, and now Skunky's going to have to try and find a way through the chicane, but he's not going to be able to do so. Meanwhile, De Monster capitalizes on Kowalski going deep, and Hibbs also going deep, and he's going to gain 2 positions there. Mistaken Harris is also going to get a run as well. He's going to go around the outside of him. And down the inside goes Harris. He's going to get the job done on Hibbs. Is Hibbs brave enough to brake later? No, he's not. He's going to fall back into position. And everyone else still relatively close together. Clean and fair as you like. But Silth leads the way ahead of O'Reilly. And MSA have pulled a gap on Post quite comfortably, as now McGowan's lost touch to him. And Post now pulling away. What a start from the MSA boys. They are long gone in the distance, and Skunky now trying to get onto terms with Schwarbert here, but he can't quite get close enough. He's trying to help McGowan out a little bit. Meanwhile, Kowalski gets close to Hibbs once again. Varga now's in a bit of a scrap with these guys also, as Maiga has a much better run through Tamburello, but can't get the run on the cars in front. Meanwhile, Harris has had to go defensive there by the looks of things on Hibbs. He has, and we got a car in the dirt. I'm not sure who that was. I think it was De Monster. No, it was Flop. Flop making a mistake, and De Monster going around the outside. De Monster, sorry, I keep saying Monster for some reason. De Monster has gone around the outside and got the job done. And Skunky, meanwhile, is still giving Schwarbert a hard time. He's going to look up the inside of where Schwarbert did it to him in Piratella, but he's not going to get it done this time. He falls back into position further back. Meanwhile, Harris is harassing the back of Flop, and Flop's had a moment. I think that's contact with Harris, and he's going to fall back into the middle of the circuit. And a fantastic job from all the drivers for not making contact with him. Meanwhile, further back, there's all sorts of chaos happening. Matt Wright's dropped down the order, as has Wilbrink, as has a few others as well. Aberdeen still going. Lee's returned to pit lane, but a little bit of a argy-bargy going on in the background. Harris, that's track limits for sure. But Silth and O'Reilly pulling away from Post quite comfortably, as McGowan's sticking with him, and Schwarbert's gone with it, as has Skunky. De Monster now up into 7th place, and Harris 8th. Flop dropping down the order now. He's behind Maiger, so he's down into 13th place position with that one. So Maiger's having a much better race. Ouch, that one, to be fair, says Berserker. I think, to be fair, the save that Flop done there, he got on the brakes, he done as he told, and everyone else was able to negotiate their way around the spinning car, and a good job from all the drivers to avoid that one. Maiger in the tow of Varga, but he's not quite close enough at this moment in time, and Varga holds on to that position. Further back, we've got the SimPlay driver of Ramsel and Crespo just behind one another. Then we got Zdanov recovering with Schwarber behind. Wilbrink gets past Smith by the looks of things, and Aberdeen slowly working his way up the order after his pedals decided to die on him. But it's still Sylph though, leading the way. Ahead of O'Reilly, doing it for MSA 1 and 2, quite comfortably in front. Post doing it for Apex Motorsport, driving brilliantly. And then you got McGowan sat in P4, Schwarber in P5. Skunky has dropped behind Harris now. So Skunky's had another moment and has dropped behind Harris. And there is Hibbs and also Kowalski going at it. Kowalski much better run through Piratella. And Hibbs having to go very defensive through Aqua Minerale. Go side by side for Ramsel and Crespo. Ramsel holds off the position and stays ahead. Kowalski looking to attack Hibbs there momentarily, but can't get the job done. Hibbs, anything, is actually closer to Skunky. Skunky goes a little bit wide. Once again, your top two. The MSA boys have done a great job. Every time they start the race, they work together to get away, and then once they get away, then they start having their own little scrap. Post no pace whatsoever to stick with the guys in front, so it has to kind of just fall in line. McGowan trying to hunt down Post as best he can to try and give him a bit of a hard time. And you'll go down the main straight, and I go quite close to the back of Varga. As we now come up to the halfway stage of this race, we've had some awesome racing all night long, and O'Reilly once again right on the back bumper of Sylph. These two really have been the class of the field out in front. A lot of drivers taking the dirt coming out the exit of Tamburello. You can see now the tiredness is starting to fatigue now on the drivers, as the 18th driver, that is, I'm going to nickname him O now because I can't pronounce his name, O, meanwhile defending from Matt Wright. Doing everything he possibly can to work his way through the order. As we see there, Zdanov has done a great recovery drive. He's worked himself back up towards 21st and onto the back of the pack. So if everyone else's mishaps and problems, he has worked his way towards the front end of this, or the back end of this group, sorry, and has definitely given himself an opportunity to still score some decent points. Meanwhile, Sylph and O'Reilly going wheel to wheel. Further back, Post still got McGowan covered at this moment in time. The Monster now looking more and more under threat from Harris. Just behind them as well is Skunky trying to catch onto the back of them. Hibbs with Kowalski also in transit. But it's this Harris Ramsel fight with Crespo, and now down the inside goes O on Matt Wright. Matt Wright will get the position done, as there we see Marsden now going up the inside of O as well. Zdanov's up the behind them as well, so Zdanov there wanting a bit of the action. Oh, and O makes slight contact with Marsden. Marsden does get it stopped just in time and goes a little bit wide. Matt Wright goes wide as well, but here comes Zdanov. He gives Marsden a little bit of a rub as well, as we're at the halfway stage of this race, and it's being proper elbows out in this one. But Marsden there dropping down the order. Go back to your leaders. It is still Sylph ahead of O'Reilly, and it's kind of a nose to tail. Sylph made a slight mistake there going through Villeneuve chicane. He's had to go defensive through the hairpin, and around the outside can O'Reilly. He loses the back end, got a little bit power happy there, but he's going to have the inside though for Piratella. He's not quite close enough. Meanwhile, Post still holding off McGowan and Schwarber at the minute. Oh, that is Kowalski. He's in the wall. He's facing the wrong way, and he's going to drop down the order. And De Monster once again onto the back of Harris and Skunky as well, dropping back into this group. He's now ahead of Varga, so he's dropped down to 10th place position, I think. So I don't know if Kowalski and him may be having to come together. I'm not quite sure. But either way, they are close to one another. Sylph and O'Reilly, though, still going at it. O'Reilly goes off the track. And O'Reilly's going to keep it pinned around the outside. He's not going to get the run, though. I'm afraid Sylph is going to defend the inside and does a brilliant job of that. Sylph there still defending off the guys behind. Meanwhile, Post is still in a solid P3 position. And Schwarber also going with them as well. And Varga at the minute leading the silver class, and he'll want to hold on to that as best he can. They go. O'Reilly meanwhile still in the toe of Sylph. The top group aren't really separated by much at the minute. The Monster still on the back of Harris. Varga now still heavily defending from Maiga. That is the fight for the silver class at the minute, and Varga doing his best job to hold them off. Kowalski's dropped down the order a bit more. Anderson now ahead of Ramsel, ahead of Crespo, Wright, Zdanov, Marsden, Wilbrink, Smith, and Aberdeen, and then lead towards the back of the pack. Oh, Hibbs has gone wide. Skunky's gone down the inside, and job done for him. And Varga now comes on through. Well, Maiga as well. Yes, he is. He's going to go to the inside of Piratella. He's going to get the job done. Yeah, he is. And Hibbs not really fighting that too hard. As now joining the scene is Flop as well. So all getting a bit pushy-shovey towards the end of the night. Driver of the day poll has gone out, guys, so you can get your votes in. I love watching these M2 races. Always epic battles. Yes, they are. And Sylph has made a slight error here. And here comes O'Reilly. He may have got the run. They go down towards Rivazza for the fine for a few times, but O'Reilly goes down the inside. He misses his braking zone and drops the rear, and Sylph meanwhile will continue on leading this one, and O'Reilly holds on to that second place. Luckily, Post, McGowan and Schwarber aren't really close enough to capitalize on that one. Meanwhile, Harris and De Monster having a great little scrap as well. I've already got my driver of the day, and it's not an MSA driver, let's just put it that way. De Monster and Harris still going at it wheel to wheel. Skunky now starting to put a little bit of a gap on Varga, Maiga. Then got Hibbs, Flop and Nuga. Manov further back is Anderson. Ramsel's dropped further back again. He's got damage to the front end of his car. So Matt Wright has gone through. Who's there? Crespo, Zdanov, Marsden and Wilbrink all close to one another. Here we go again. Flop. It was Maiga down the inside of Varga. This is important. This is for the silver class. And Maiga is not going to get the run. Varga defends off the guys behind. Oh, Maiga tries to go down the inside of the hairpin. He can't quite get his nose there. And Hibbs been pushed out wide a little bit. No, he's just gone a little bit wide himself. But a great little scrap from these. O'Reilly, obviously, with that moment, has lost out to Sylph, so he's not really going to be capitalising on him anytime soon. But Post ahead of McGowan, ahead of Schwarber. Then you've got Harrison and De Monster going at it. Skunky's pulled well away from this lot as Varga has really gone very defensive. Now Flop having to be defensive with Nugamanov towards the end. So what else is happening down here? We've got Crespo, and we've got who's that? That's Zdanov and Marsden. They're quite close to one another. I'm not sure what happens to Matt Wright. Where is Matt Wright? I'm on top of it. Here we go. But these guys quite tight going through the Acqua Minerale chicane there. It was quite close racing. They all managed to survive that one. Meanwhile, Post is pulled away from McGowan. A comfortable gap from him. And Lee, meanwhile, has been lapped by the two MSA, and O'Reilly has brought the gap down once again, so we might get a last lap attack from the MSAs. Here comes Maiga. He's on the attack on Varga. Having to go around the outside, who have the inside then heading into Tamburello, and Varga is vulnerable, and I think he's going to lose the position. If Maiga just gets the braking zone, he should take silver class leads. He will, as Varga has to take to the curb, and he loses out there. So Varga will have to come back at it, but he's got two gold drivers ready and raring to go behind him. It is Hibbs and Flop, one in a bit of the action. Nugamanov there has lost out to Kowalski, who goes past, but Hibbs and Varga going wheel to wheel at the moment. O'Reilly again brings the gap down 0.6 of a second, separating your top two, as Post is trying his best to stick with them, but he's not going to, as he's got to just try and defend off McGowan and Schwarber for the rest of this race. So can Varga come back on the attack of Maiga? Can Flop find a way past on Hibbs? A pair of them obviously wanting to make a move on Varga, but Varga doing a great job of defending off the guys behind. Matt Wright's now onto the back of Anderson, and O's just dropped off the back of Zdanov. Crespo's returned back to pits, as a few of the guys just hitting rock bottom by the looks of things towards the end of this race. Once again, your top two close to one another. It is O'Reilly versus Silth. Into the slipstream comes O'Reilly. He's only 0.3 of a second now. He's coming for Silth. It's going to be a scrap towards the end, towards the MSA boys. Can Post possibly get a race win if they end up hitting each other one too many times? We'll see about that, but it's going to be Post versus McGowan and Schwarber for the final podium position. Harris is pulled away from De Monster, as Skunky also pulling away from this gaggle of cars. Varga is now just having to defend from Hibbs, Schwarbert, and now Kowalski, who's caught onto the back of him very, very quickly. Matt Wright is now ahead of Anderson, and pretty much all your scraps at the minute. Crespo's back in pit lane, but back to your leaders. It is still Silth holding off O'Reilly at this moment in time. Brilliant racing from these two. They come up towards Piratella for the 9th time tonight in this third race. Guys, get your votes in on driver of the day. 3 votes at the minute, and there's a handful of you watching the stream at the minute, so please guys, get your votes in on driver of the day. Currently 21 people watching at the minute. Get your votes in, as the drivers do appreciate the votes from the fans, the people watching. McGowan's brought the gap down to Post ever so slightly. Post has had to clear a little bit of traffic, and here is Kowalski right on the back bumper of Flop as they head down towards Acra Minerale, but he's not going to get the run through there. He's going to have to try and get it through with a chicane of Alta, and there is the mistake from Flop. He hits the curb quite hard, and you see the sparks flying off the back of the car. Kowalski, can he get the nose up the inside? No, he chooses to stay behind and try and have a better run, and there's the mistake from Flop. Kowalski goes through, and job done. No need to take a risk with that one. Nugamanov slowly catching onto the back of this group. O'Reilly takes fastest lap of the race. They're on the final lap here. Silth now, can he defend off his teammate? Can he defend off the reigning champion and championship leader? As Silth could do with all the points to get himself back into this championship fight. There's only 59 points separating the two of them, as O'Reilly has a better run through Tamburello as they head down towards Villeneuve chicane. They're pretty much pushing one another, and Silth still ahead of O'Reilly. Through the chicane they go. Can O'Reilly send it up the inside going into Toza? No, he's just waiting for the opportunity. Meanwhile, Hibbs and Varga close to one another. Hibbs not able to really capitalise on that, and then you got Ramsell on the back of Smith as well for the final few positions here. But it is the fight for the lead, it is the fight for the win, and it's the fight for the bragging rights between the MSA boys. Silth versus O'Reilly. Into the final few corners we go into Aquaminerali for the final time. O'Reilly's had a blistering run through here. Sylv, a bouncy run through there. Is O'Reilly close enough? He's in the tow. He's carrying the weight reminder. He's got 40 kilos on board. Sylv, meanwhile, holding him off, holding the position. O'Reilly sending it through the chicane. Is this the run he needed? Heading now down towards Ravazza for the final time. Sylv squeezing him, making him work for it. He's going to go down towards the hairpin for the final time. Is O'Reilly far enough alongside? No, he's not. But is he going to try and focus on getting the exit? Sylv goes a little bit wide. Out of the final corner we go. O'Reilly's there. He's ready to pounce. He's ready to attack. But I think it's going to go the way of Sylv. Sylv's going to take bragging rights. He will win the third and final race tonight. He is the man to beat here at Imola. Sylv wins the race ahead of O'Reilly. Then it's going to be Post, who's a fantastic drive to get it onto the podium. McGowan in fourth. Then it's Schwarbert. Harris is going to come across the line for that 6th place position. DeMonster in 7th. Skunky in the end for 8th place position. Maiga in 9th. With Varga in 10th. Maiga taking win in silver class. Hibbs and Kowalski come together across the line, but Hibbs gets the position. Kowalski in 13th. Let's flop Nuga, Manoff. Matt Wright is going to finish in 15th place position. Anderson in the end in 16th. Zdanov 17th, Marsden 18th. Wilbrink has dropped down the order. He's ended up behind Aberdeen, and Aberdeen now coming through to finish in 20th position. Then it's going to be Wilbrink ahead of O. Then it is Shaworski is coming to a stop. I think he's out of fuel. So through go Smith and Ramsel, and Shaworski rolling to the line. There's going to be Lee and Crespo as well. But the MSA boys have put on a fantastic show tonight. Been brilliant to watch. The whole group have been brilliant to watch. It's been entertaining nonetheless. But yeah, it's been a great night's worth of racing. But it is Sylv who gets the win in that one. I'll be back in a few moments' time as I'll get the highlights up and possibly some interviews as well. Right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back and we should have some interviews ready and raring to go. We will start with our championship leader and our defending champion. We'll start with Kieran O'Reilly. Kieran, and let me just say, another entertaining night's worth of racing in the M2s once again. Yourself and Sylv and Hooper really putting on a show tonight. It was very entertaining to watch. Just talk us through it, man, because it must have been incredibly sweaty from your end as well.
Is this me?
Yep. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's you.
Sorry, mate, I just went toilet. Yeah.
Sorry, mate.
Yeah, I just caught the end of it. You're good. Yeah, yeah. Tonight, that's the most fun I've had in these. That was wicked. That was just proper racing. That was tonight. We finally managed to, you know, sort of group up a bit and send it in. And yeah, what can you say? I mean, that's what we're here for. It's nice to always maybe run off into the distance and get points in, but when you can have races like that and you're sweating every lap, it's mega. So yeah, all in all, tonight it's been the most fun I've had in these cars so far.
I mean, not just for you, but obviously us, the fans watching as well. It's been really entertaining. Thoroughly enjoyed it myself. Obviously, you like I said, you boys in MSA going at it wheel to wheel, and then the rest of the pack as well. They're all going at it as well. So it's very difficult to jump from one to the other and keep up with what's going on. Yeah, just talk about the weight as well. You had 40 kilos on board. Did it make much of a difference around here?
Yeah, I'd say I definitely noticed it. Obviously, with the traction, you know, it's very sluggish down the main straight. You know, even in the toe, you get a good toe you can gain, but you're still losing out. When it comes to the handling, I'm not sure. I don't think the weight affects it that much. It's definitely when it comes down to power. So when you are fighting in groups, or you maybe have a run on someone, it does stop that opportunity. It closes the door straight away. So, you know, I did say earlier on in the season, I think the weight will play a factor as the season goes on, and I think that's proven it tonight. You know, especially in race one, just couldn't really get past the boys, even though we were scrapping. There was chances for a run, and I just couldn't do it. So yeah, I think the weight's doing its job now. It's doing what it's meant to do.
Yeah, I think obviously I think we say this every week when we go to places like Spa and Mount Panorama. I think they're really going to be the circuits where the weight will be hitting you hard the most. Obviously tonight you're going to have to play second fiddle. Yourself and Sylph have been going at it tooth and nail all night long, but that final race really pushed you guys to the limit, and I could literally see you really going for it. Is it starting to turn into kind of a two-horse race between yourself and your teammate? Because you two seem to be pulling away at the minute.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not one to say, you know, I'm one of them humble ones with it. I wouldn't like to say that. I mean, it's everyone's race still, you know, to win, especially on the night. You know, we can have bad nights, good nights and whatnot, but I suppose when it maybe comes to keeping it a bit more consistent and bringing them results in every week, I suppose maybe we could be in that sense of things. So yeah, you know, we're just doing what we need to do. It's always good when you can maybe create a bit of a gap in the championship as well. Just, you know, you can have these fights especially, and like I say, obviously me and Sylph, we race with each other now, we know each other, so it's always, you know, hard racing but respectful. But, you know, like I say, I'm not one to say that we're running away with it. I think you have one bad round now, it's easy for people to get onto the back of you. So yeah, it's still all very close out there, I'd say.
Yeah, indeed, and obviously with the casual boys as well, they're looking more and more competitive each time round. So McGowan and Skunky are going to try and come after you boys. We do go to the first of the power circuits. We go to Silverstone next. How are you feeling about that? And again, you're going to be carrying 40 kilos as you go to Silverstone.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's a bit like Imola. I love Silverstone personally. I think it's a wicked track again, especially for racing. You know, you've got long sweeping corners, you've got tight chicanes, etc. So yeah, it'll make for some proper racing, and it's a track that I enjoy racing at. So it'll be no different than this week, really. You know, I'm coming into it with the confidence, but also, you know, knowing that it's a fun track to race at. You know, I think it'll make for a lot of good racing, obviously throughout the pack as well. So yeah, Silverstone, feeling strong. Obviously I'd like to do some testing, but at the minute we're just doing what we can and picking it up on the race nights, really. But, you know, end of the day, we're here having fun, and that's what it's all about.
Exactly. Nonetheless, mate, congratulations on your win earlier on and your podiums as well. Fantastic job tonight.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
And we now move on to man of the night, the man who's dominated pretty much Imola tonight, other than losing the one race. But Sylph, what a nice worth of racing. You must have thoroughly enjoyed that. I know obviously in the Discord you tagged me saying, did you get that first race? And boy, did we, because that was entertaining.
Oh yeah, that was some intense stuff for that. Yeah, loads of fun. Every single race there. I think O'Reilly had my number on lap times. She had a bit of legs on me. But yeah, just do what you got to do in it.
He may have had the lap times on you, but overall racecraft and race pace, you seem to have it on him, because 2 race wins to your name and a second place as well, where he had a win, a second and a third. You overall had him in this one. Was that the key here at Imola, just keeping it smooth and consistent and not making as many mistakes?
I think so. Yeah, it's quite a technical circuit in it, and them curves can really catch you out if you clip them wrong. So, yeah, just keep it under wraps. Try and keep it clean, consistent, and seems to have worked. So, yeah, can't complain.
It's a bit of a shame we lost Hooper earlier in the night. It would have been a great fight to see the three UMSA boys going at it, because that first race was absolutely epic.
Yeah.
But we look to the next round of the championship. We head to Silverstone. You're also going to be carrying a hefty amount of weight with 35 kilos on board. How do you feel about carrying that weight, and what's your thoughts to Silverstone?
We'll have to see. I think it might be a struggle track for these cars, to be honest. It's a lot of fast direction change, which I don't think they're going to do too well under. So we'll have to see how it goes. I think it might bring out some mistakes in people. So just have to see how it goes. We turn up every week and yeah, just do his best. So yeah, just looking forward to next week.
Well, another fantastic job tonight again. Self, you've been driving brilliantly, and congrats on the 2 race wins.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
And driver of the day ended up going the way of O'Reilly in the chat, so congratulations to him. My driver of the day, though, has to go the way of Post. A fantastic night's worth of racing, some good points for him in the end, and nice to see him doing well here at Imola. But like I said, for the M2s, we leave here in Imola and head to Silverstone next in the championship. We've got Pro-Am and still Pro to come. Regarding the team's drivers' championship, it looks like this. O'Reilly leads the way with 54 points ahead of Silf, with Mezin now in that 3rd place position. Skunky in 4th, McGowan in 5th, Hooper in 6th, with Schwarber in that 7th place position, with DeMonster in 8th, Korski in 9th, Post 10th, Hibbs 11th, Arish 12th, 13th is Harris, 14th Lojack, Zdanov 15th, 16th Flop, Vargas 17th, 18th Wilbring, Nugamanov 19th, Ramsel 20th, 21st is Wright, Prochnet in 22nd, Maiger 23rd, Marsden 24th, leading the bronze class, Crespo in 25th, Aberdeen in 26th, Schwarzski in 27th, 28th is Anderson, Cox 29th, Johnson 30th, Lee 31st, Jacket 32nd, Gillies 33rd, Smith 34th, Paro 35th, O in 36th, Hoochhausen in 37th, Crack in 38th, and Millington rounding off the grid. Regarding the teams, it's looking like this. MSA are well out in front, 311 points ahead of the casuals in 2nd. Autobahn United in 3rd, with Schwarster's Motorsport in P4. Apex Motorsport in 5th, with Greasy Bandits now 6th. Cossack Racing in P7. Only Side is 8th. GBU Racing in 9th. And Team FBGB in 10th. Soldor Racing 11th, SimPlay Racing 12th, Quantum Motorsport 13th, then Muzik Racing in 14th, Billy No Mates in 15th, and Team SPR rounding off the championship for the teams. Zdanov leads silver, Marsden leads bronze, but O'Reilly leads the overall and the gold championship as we head to Silverstone for the next round of the Whodarron Cup. Who's going to be victorious there? That is the question, but myself and all the Whodarron Cup, we will see you all tomorrow night for the Pro-Ams as they hit the circuit here at Imola, and then the Pros on Thursday. But for myself and the Whodarron Cup, it is a